How's it going, friends and family? My name is Amos, and I spent the past 7 days researching and analyzing why some of our most beloved tech stocks are down 20, 30, or even 50%. And the bottom line up front, the conclusion, the sell-off in the tech space is happening for a variety of reasons. Number one, the CapEx that is erasing free cash flow for the next year or so, as evidenced by the Mag 7 earnings in the past 2 weeks. Number two, vibe coding software replacing your business model from Anthropic's Claude. And then, of course, number three, the rotation into value stocks, because for the past 5 years, tech stocks have traded for a premium, and there's only a finite amount of capital, right? So they're selling out of tech and rotating it into Clorox, Procter & Gamble, Walmart. So in this video, I'll walk you through a tier system that I developed showing which tech stocks are positioned to thrive in the age of AI, and then which ones could face real trouble or even go belly up, depending on their tier grade. So if you care about protecting and compounding your capital over the next decade, this matters. Please pay attention. And to illustrate and clarify how these companies differ, I'm going to be organizing them into 4 tiers, as you see me doing on the screen right now. It's going to be portrayed as an inverted pyramid. And as you move down the structure, switching costs are going to increase, operational dependence increases, and competitive threats decrease. I'm so sorry. It's my first time trying to film with my phone as I'm doing something. Towards the end of the video, I'll post a very clear photo. Tier number 4, all the way at the top, is horizontal tools. Software in this category, it solves a universal problem for every single industry. A common function that almost every business needs to do, fix, or produce. The customer is everybody and anybody, including YouTubers, schools, a church, or even your small business. And the software in question is usually best in class when it comes to like accounting, graphic design, marketing, communication, project management, and it's also worthy to know that this tier has the lowest barrier to entry. Software here can be replicated and replaced by vibe coding, and there's a ton of competitors because the target demographic is broad and vast. That's why it's called the horizontal tools. They don't target a specific niche, so they cast a wide net across a large TAM, total addressable market. And in my humble opinion, this includes tech companies such as DocuSign, Adobe, Atlassian, ticker symbol Team, Asana, Intuit, Zoom, Dropbox, and of course everyone's favorite, Duolingo. Tier 3 I have labeled as vertical. It's a one-stop shop. It provides end-to-end software built specifically for one industry. And within that industry, it's the most important operational ingredient. What I'm trying to say is, if one worker calls out sick, the business can go on. But if their software or platform is down or is having issues, the entire business cannot go on as usual. A business that depends on a vertical platform realizes how mission critical it truly is, and it handles everything from customer management, scheduling, financing, inventory, payroll, dispatching. And it's called vertical because from start to finish, top to bottom, it handles everything for a specific industry. And depending on the tech company, the economic moat can be high switching costs or even ecosystem dominance. The big names that I have for this category include Toast. It's a one-stop shop for restaurants. We have Viva Systems, the pharmaceutical and biotech space. They live and die by Viva. And then we also have Procore, which from my understanding is the oxygen source for construction companies. And there's also Service Titan that handles everything from scheduling to payroll to financing for the folks in HVAC, plumbing, electrical work, and even landscaping. And then there's also Shopify, which does everything from payment processing to even hosting a website for online businesses. And then there's Roper Technologies. It's a conglomerate of various different software companies that cater towards very niche industries, including the software Deltek for government contractors, Vertiforce for insurance agencies, Frontline for school education systems, PowerPlan for financial asset management. The list goes on and on. And for Tier 2, it's a two-pronged approach. On the first category, I have it as workflow platforms. And then in the second category, I have proprietary data. So kicking things off on the left side first, workflow platforms include Salesforce and ServiceNow because it manages the operational process of a business, including the customer data, compliance, customer and IT tickets, reporting, coordination among all the various departments, and a system of record. Now hear me out. Salesforce to me is tier 2 because it handles the customer's data from start to finish, including the sales, the leads, and everything else, right? And then the marketing and sales team, they live on the Salesforce platform, alongside with the recruiting and HR team. And forecasting for revenue also runs on Salesforce. And there's an entire customized ecosystem that's built on top of it because of their app exchange. And with the integration of Agentforce, Salesforce has become the operating system for most entry-level work. And I can already hear the pushback. Most people call Salesforce horizontal because every industry uses it. But that only describes its reach. Its position in Tier 2 is determined by its depth. Salesforce operates as the central nervous system for an enterprise. It orchestrates workflows across every department, not just for one team. Think about it. If you stop using Salesforce to jump ship to a competitor or to a vibe-coded software, you don't just lose a software or a tool. You lose your entire customer history, the data, your sales pipeline, your revenue forecasting, and your automated workflows. And my whole thing is with the integration of Agentforce, the platform now handles a crap ton of legwork for multiple departments autonomously. I stand on the hill that Salesforce is an important and crucial infrastructure of the daily operations for most S&P 500 companies. Now, don't get me wrong. People keep saying that AI is going to crush Salesforce and ServiceNow because coding is cheap. But if you think about it, coding's been getting cheaper for decades. If cheap code was all it took, these companies would have been disrupted already. The reality is that most businesses don't want to own that risk. There are other options out there, but they stick with the tried and true, the battle tested, like Salesforce or ServiceNow. If your CRM platform goes down, you want someone to call. You're going to want enterprise support. You want accountability. Because think about it like this. If your internal team built the entire CRM platform with AI doing most of it, and something breaks or something goes wrong, they don't know how to find the line of code that's ruining everything. And now the CEO of your company is going to be stuck with dealing with an IT mess instead of running the business. Does that make sense? That's why these companies matter, and that's why I have them in the Tier 2 bucket. Now, moving on to the right side of the screen, Tier 2 for me also includes the companies that possess proprietary data platforms. This includes S&P Global, Moody's, NASDAQ, FICO, and more. They own and verify the numbers and data that moves the entire financial system, including the bond ratings, credit numbers, and the popular stock market index S&P 500 or NASDAQ 100. Stocks in this category have the network effects economic moat. Every industry, including real estate, car dealerships, banks, and more, utilize the numbers they verify to be true with their stamp of approval. It means something when it's accredited by S&P Global or Moody's. Even if AI can replicate or predict the same numbers, those startups, software, or vibe coding, whatever, they don't come with legal authority, and they cannot issue a Moody's rating. Does that make sense? That's trademarked, and they're the only one that can do what they do. However, with that said, the market intelligence and analytics services that S&P Global and NASDAQ provides absolutely going to be disrupted by AI companies. I can agree on that. Now for Tier 1, I think this makes the most sense, okay? I have it labeled as foundational infrastructure. All of this, what you see on your screen right now, it exists because of the Tier 1 cloud, their data centers, servers, and storage. I call them the foundational infrastructure because they're the backbone of tech and AI. The Tier 1, the best way to think about it is like they are the landlords. Everybody pays them rent to operate their business on their real estate. And from what I can see, every serious AI player, they're spending a crap ton of money right now aggressively because nobody wants to fall behind. And history shows that in big industrial shifts like this, it's almost impossible to predict who ends up dominating. In the LLM universe, at one point, we thought it was ChatGPT, OpenAI, right? And then it was Google and Google's Gemini. And now it's Anthropic's Claude. And that's why I have Oracle represented up here. Right now, they might be falling behind, but who knows? Maybe in the future, with their partnership with TikTok US, they make a comeback and they become a part of the Mag 7. I do not know. So as we digest the tier system that we just went over here today, it's basically a ranking of how much of a problem it would be for a business to replace the tech or software in question. For tier 1, it's basically the lifeline. If this disappears or becomes obsolete, the entire business crumbles. And for tier 2 and tier 3, if anything were to happen and their system, platform, or software goes down, that would be operational chaos across the board. People would be panicking. And that's why with tier 4, if that software goes down or the value proposition to switch on over to a cheaper variety from the competitor pops up, it might be inconvenient, but life goes on. You could make the switch and it won't be life-threatening, nor would it cause the business to have significant downtime because of the switching costs. So I think that begs the bigger question, what do I plan on doing after spending all this time painting the tech landscape into a 4-tier system? Well, I think the tech and the SaaS stocks, they're not down because business is slowing today. Like if you look at the revenues for almost any one of these companies, it's growing 15, 20, 40% year over year. And their stock price, it doesn't reflect that. They're still negative 50, 60, 70%. Across the board from tier 1 all the way down to tier 4, I think they're all being punished without discrimination because big money, hedge funds, investors on Wall Street, they're trying to figure out which platforms and which software can be reproduced by AI internally by the customers using vibe coding. So why would they pay a commercial license fee to Adobe or to Intuit, $80,000 a year when they could just cough up $5,000 to have Claude make the exact same software that you need? And so consequently, I think almost everybody in tier 4, they're in a hairy, sticky, sweaty situation. Maybe 95% of them. I think the top tier, high caliber ones, the top 5% in tier 4, I think they'll be okay. But at this point, it's kind of hard to tell who's going to be okay. And so my whole thing is, if your horizon is at least 10 years, maybe 15 years down the road, why settle for average businesses that are on sale when the best, highest quality ones are on sale as well? Why not go for the best, the beautiful, the dividend compounders with cheese? It's like going to an all-you-can-eat Chinese buffet, which, by the way, one of my most favorite places to dine at, because you throw down like, $15? And you can eat as much as you want in a variety of flavors, and you can put whatever you want on your plate. My whole thing is, if you're gonna go to a Chinese buffet, why stack it full of lo mein and rice? Why not go for the crab legs? Why not go for the sushi? Does that make sense? Go for the high quality stuff. Why are you going for the heavy carb stuff? So everything that I just said, I could be absolutely wrong, but for me, I think it makes sense. I'm going to be buying up the names that are in tier 1 and tier 2 because they're on discount alongside with the tier 4. Because of tier 4, tier 1 and tier 2 are also being punished. So my whole thing is, hey, they're on sale. Now, do keep in mind, I'm not trying to tell anyone else what to do with your own money, okay? I'm just trying to tell you what I'm gonna do. Don't copy me. As a matter of fact, unfollow me, click dislike, slap my face. I'm completely wrong and inaccurate. Now, having said that, I don't know when the bottom is gonna be. I think heading into this weekend, because it's a long weekend, on Monday the stock market is closed, I think it rallied a little bit in the tech sector. For all we know, on Tuesday or in the following 2 weeks, 3 weeks, we could see new one-year lows for all of these names. But on the other side of that argument, the rebound, by buying into it right now, the rebound, it could happen by the end of the year. It could also take up to 10 years. Worst case scenario, right? Maybe even like 20 years. That's catastrophic thinking. I don't think it'll take 20 years for these tech names to rebound. I'm sure in April 2025, people were thinking that it was going to take up to 5 years to recover, but it only took a matter of months. That's usually how the stock market operates, especially in the age and era of the amateur retail investor, where it's more accessible to invest into stocks than it was 20 years ago, when you literally had to pay like $25 to do one transaction trade. Now, more and more people are invested into the stock market because it's free, and buying stocks has never been more easier. So that's my thought process. I'm going to buy these stocks because I've got time. I know the face looks young, but I'm 35. I've got maybe another 30, 40 years of life left. I've got time, so I'm going to buy. And besides, if AI truly makes Amazon, Microsoft, and Google obsolete because of their ROI and CapEx spending doesn't yield fruit, if this is the beginning of the end, and all of these stocks are now going to be cigar butt companies, I'll quit YouTube. But I have a weird feeling in my right nipple that I think things are going to be okay. I think this is really emotional overreaction by the markets, punishing very high quality businesses across the board. I'm going to take advantage of the situation. So having said that, tell me which stock is missing in this video. And if we get enough comments and feedback, I'll do a part 2 where I add those stocks into the appropriate tier after I analyze and explain the methodology and thought process why it's there. And between you and me, I feel like a video like this, of this magnitude, it needs a part 2. So let's make it happen. If you enjoy this video, do me a solid, click like. I love you guys. Stay safe. Good luck in the stock market, and I appreciate you hanging out with me today. See ya.